Officials are taking steps toward a pilot program for having Boston police officers wear body cameras. To tell us what's being discussed and about possible opportunities for public comment is one of the leading advocates for cameras locally. We'd like to welcome a co-organizer from the Boston Police Camera Action Team, Segun Idowu. Thank you very much for being with us, Segun.
Thank you for having me.
First of all, bring us up to date about how much farther we've gotten down the line. I certainly heard the mayor said that recently he's putting money in the budget for this, so it sounds like this is really going to happen.
Yeah, we're very excited. It's making some headway. Very soon we'll be having a community meetings with Councillor Andrea Campbell. She'll be hosting 3 community meetings in the next couple of weeks to talk about the policy and how residents can be involved in the shaping of the program.
Well, the first step here is going to be a pilot, so I guess that means they're not going to be using them everywhere. So right. What do you think this is going to be like?
Well, the details I have about this program so far are there's going to be 100 body cameras across the city. And it's going to be a 6-month-long process. But you know, one of the details we disagree with is the fact that it's a voluntary program. There's a member of the ACLU, Carl Williams, who describes this in a way that, you know, if they're at a bank, some money goes missing, the manager doesn't come out and say that we're going to do a random audit, but any of you can buy in if you want to. No, there's an audit, you choose the people you're going to do the audit for, and you go ahead and do it. And so, you know, the program's going to roll out, and we're hoping that we can kind of change this voluntary nature of the program.
Now, I know we have people in many quarters saying they like transparency, but what about the gear? Because, you know, even if you have an officer who has no problem with somebody showing what they're doing, you still have to have this on you somewhere. Does it really maybe get in the way sometimes?
I'm sure that officers said the same thing about several other parts of their uniform before they had to wear them. I mean, at the end of the day, I think everything comes down to training and having it actually happen. You know, I think the longer that they wear these cameras, they're used to wearing it, they know it's a part of their uniform, and you know, the different locations that they're able to wear these cameras, whoever we contract with, I think it'll be fine with the officers.
Well, we've had some exposure to the same principle already, and it's even been used to show that officers probably did the right thing. But on the other hand, these are cameras that will show the rest of us too, so right. That raises some issues.
That it will show the rest of us. Well, I mean, I think, you know, the cameras have been shown to do 2 things. They lower the amount of complaints against officers because officers now don't rush to use force, and that's the other side of it, that they also don't rush to use force against people. But I think it also causes people to you know, think a little bit further about how they're going to react to officers, and it causes the citizens to behave, as it were, as well. So I think it'll be a useful tool, and I think policy is what's important to make sure that you know, the privacy issues that come up with having these cameras are taken care of.
You know, I think one of the things you'd like to do in a pilot program is make sure that you end up with the best model, maybe try more than one model.
Yeah, so DC did something that I thought was great. What they did was they equipped, I don't remember how many officers, it may have been 100, but what they did was they went to 4 different body camera companies and they equipped their officers with each of these cameras. And through that process, they were able to tell which of these cameras would work best for DC. And I think, you know, Boston should wind up doing the same thing. From what I understand, we haven't even released a request for proposals yet for camera companies to come to Boston and equip our officers, but we're looking forward to the commissioner doing something like what DC did.
You mentioned that here's a possibility that this pilot could be voluntary, and I have to admit that as a permanent feature, that doesn't appeal to me. But on the other hand, in a trial run, why not let it be voluntary? And if you find out that no one's complaining about it, then after that you say, well, look, there were no complaints, so we're going to make it mandatory.
Well, one of the criticisms the commissioner had for this program before he did it was that it's not necessary in Boston because we have the best community police force in the country. There are some who may agree, some who may disagree, but at the end of the day, you know, the consensus in the community is that they have a number of complaints against officers who sometimes don't meet the standards that the police force has set forth. And so for it to be a voluntary program, it means that those officers who are doing a really good job, who do go out of their way to help citizens, are going to be the first to ask that this equipment be placed on them. And even though they're doing a great job, that's not what it is that we're looking for. These tools are supposed to be for accountability and transparency for officers who may not be living up to these standards. And so it's important to us that not just the good officers are wearing them, but also officers whose approach may be a little questionable wear them as well.
Even if you have officers buying into the program, I think another issue that comes up is how you make the video available to the public.
Right. So LA is probably one of the cities that has come the furthest along with body camera policy and with using this program. Their policy, unfortunately, though, is not community inspired or based. Their commissioner and their police union came together, wrote the policy, and enacted it. In Boston, we try to do something different. That's why we organized it. We try to write the policy with community input. And one of the top concerns was who has access to this footage. In our policy, we say that community members who are the subject of the video have access to that footage no matter what, and that they should not be charged for this video. What we've seen around the country is that people who want this video are charged later on thousands of dollars for labor and everything else that goes into editing the video. So we say that members of the community, if they are the ones that are filmed, have access. Other entities would have to pay and would have to get permission from that citizen and the police department for the video. So this is a very important issue that we think we have the best policy for it, and we're hoping that whatever policy comes out of the police department, they listen to that part of our policy.
I want to come back to the process leading up to the implementation here, because on one hand, there could be meetings where officials describe what they're going to do, and the other possibility that you're suggesting is maybe meetings where people in the general public can ask questions, maybe even pop a few ideas.
Right. So Councilor Jackson introduced a hearing order at the beginning of March saying that we want the commissioner and other members of the police force and the mayor's administration to come before the city council and the community and tell us what's going to be in this program, what's going to be in your policy. This went to Councilor Andrea Campbell's committee, and she has decided or elected to hold 3 community meetings to talk about this. And we're for that, but we're also for a confirmed hearing where whatever is said is on the record, and then we're able to hold our officials accountable for what they said. The thing is that the Bay State Banner reported recently about these meetings, and the director of media relations for the police department doesn't seem to be on the same page as everybody, where he said that these community meetings are more so an informational session for the police department to dictate to community residents what's going to happen with this program and in policy. We completely disagree with this notion. It is not for the department to come before us and tell us what's happening. As we are the ones that pay taxes, as we're the ones, they work for the community, therefore it is us that should be determining what the program should be and what the policy should include.
And finally, there would be some way people can keep track of what you're doing with the camera action team?
Yes, so they can go to our website, www.bpcat.org. We're on Twitter at bpcat.org. Our email is bpcat.org@gmail.com. We are constantly sending information about what the city's doing on body cameras.
Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.
Segun Idowu from the Boston Police Camera Action Team. In a moment, we'll hear about help with making sure your tap water's lead-free, but first, this message.